Welcome to Football with Cheese. Happy Wednesday. The plan was not to do a video today because there was not a whole lot going on. There were some coaching hires, but I was just going to add those to another video. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about there. But the Jaguars made a big move, so I needed to make a video about this. For those of you who don't know, they fired Trent Baalke, their general manager. The timing is really bad. Let's go back a little bit here. Shahid Khan is the owner of the Jaguars. He bought the franchise in 2011. He was a businessman. A lot of businessmen buy NFL franchises. And he's one of those, we've talked about him in another video, he's one of those that meddles when he shouldn't. He really doesn't have a clue what he's doing. They've had 2 winning seasons since 2011, since he's been the owner. Now, Trent Baalke is best known for being the 49ers general manager from 2011 to 2016. And they had some really good teams back then. They went to a Super Bowl, lost to the Ravens. But he's most known for clashing with Jim Harbaugh, who was at the time the 49ers head coach. They disagreed on a lot of personnel decisions. Harbaugh would leave and coach Michigan. His alma mater won a national title, and now he coaches the Los Angeles Chargers. And Baalke would go on to work for the NFL for a few years, eventually ends up with the Jaguars. And in 2021, he became their general manager. His 2 best drafts were probably his first draft in this past year. He did get Trevor Lawrence first overall. They had the first pick. Everyone would have taken Trevor Lawrence if they were the Jaguars. Doesn't matter who the general manager was. He was the projected first pick. Had a great career at Clemson quarterback. He has not lived up to expectations. He's had stretches where he's looked good. You think he's finally breaking out, becoming an elite quarterback, and then he'll go right back to making the wrong check down, missing a wide open receiver, throwing a dumb interception. Just inconsistent player. They really need to get a head coach that can get the most out of him. You know, he drafted Travis Etienne, Tyson Campbell, Walker Little his first draft. They're all starters. Where he went wrong was the 2022 draft, and he made one of the biggest draft mistakes in the history of the NFL. Definitely, I think the biggest draft mistake non-quarterback, because he took Trayvon Walker first overall, and Aiden Hutchinson went second. Both are edge rushers. Trayvon Walker went to Georgia. He was part of that Georgia defense that was just unreal, won the national title. One of the most dominant defenses I've ever seen in college football. But even so, Walker was nowhere near projected to go first going into the combine. I remember looking at a couple mock drafts from draft analysts that know what they're talking about, pretty accurate with their mocks. And one of them had Walker 31st. The other one had him something like 26th or 27th. So late first round. And watching in Georgia, you're like, okay, he's athletic. But I still didn't think he was a first rounder, just watching him on film. He ends up having one of the best workouts an edge rushers ever had at the combine. Aiden Hutchinson has a great workout, but it's kind of ignored because how good Trayvon Walker did. Then all of a sudden, he's the favorite to go first overall because that's who the Jaguars want. That's who Trent Baalke wants. And all the draft analysts on all the channels, all the websites were saying, you got to take Aiden Hutchinson number 1. I agreed. Aiden Hutchinson was the best player in the draft. Trent Baalke disagreed, took Trayvon Walker because he's an athlete. That's who Trent Baalke is. He wants to be the most athletic and fastest team on the field. Jim Harbaugh wanted football players. Sure, you want athletic players, but he wanted football players. And Baalke just seems to favor athletes. And I guess he thought Trayvon Walker was more athletic than Hutchinson in shorts and t-shirt. He was, but he's not a better football player. Not even close. Walker has had a bad career. He's been inconsistent. He's had some good games, and you've seen at times, wow, this guy could turn into a playmaker. He's made some plays, but inconsistent. He's a below-average player at best. Aiden Hutchinson is one of the best players in the NFL. Before he broke his leg this year, he was going to win Defensive Player of the Year. He's probably a future Hall of Famer. Huge mistake. Baalke should have been fired 2 years ago after that. His next draft was bad. Anton Harrison, first round. Brenton Strange, second round. Those are not very good players. This past year, he did better. His first round pick was Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU. Great pick. Super big and fast. A Trent Baalke type pick. Very athletic. But he developed. He developed into a great receiver. His future looks really good. And Jerry Jones in the third round was a good pick. Corner out of Florida State. He had a very good rookie year. Maybe because he did have a good draft this past year, maybe that's why he didn't get fired in November like he should have. But the roster isn't very good overall. There are big holes in it. The organization is a mess. Baalke should have been let go in November, and that way they could have had a new GM in place, and that GM could have helped pick the head coach. And you might have gotten Liam Cohen or a Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was the rumored candidate that they wanted. He chose the Bears. Liam Cohen then became the favorite, but he didn't even take an interview apparently. He decided to stay in Tampa Bay because they do not want to work with Baalke because he hasn't done a good job. And if he continues to draft poorly, it's a reflection on them that they're probably going to get fired because the coach gets more blame than the general manager. 7 or 8 coaches were fired this year. 3 GMs, 3 general managers. So the coach more than likely to get fired if the team doesn't have success than the general manager. So I get it. Good decision to move on from him. Timing is terrible because they still have to get a coach. And I'm a candidate. I'm not taking that job because I don't even know who the general manager is going to be. I guess they could elevate someone that's already with their organization, but it's not been a well-run organization. Sahid Khan has no clue. He has no clue. He should have fired Baalke. He should have hired a firm, which some organizations do, to find a new GM and let that new GM pick the coach. He's done it totally backwards. It's a total mess. And what we talked about in another video with the Jets, the best thing you can do for your franchise when you're an owner, you're a businessman, billionaire, that has no clue about football, is to hire a smart guy who builds through the draft, comes from an organization that drafts well, and leave it alone. Let them make all the decisions. Let them hire the coach. Let them make all the personnel decisions when it comes to your football team. And you can handle the business side of it. All the best franchises do that. So that's what the Jaguars should do. We'll see if he figures it out. It's a total mess. Baalke is 25-43 in 4 years. That's the Jaguars' record. 1 playoff appearance, and they went 9-8, but still won the division. So only won 9 games, but they won the division, so they made the playoffs. Hope you're not a Jaguar fan. Real quick, funny story. I was in Tennessee, and I saw a guy with a Jaguars t-shirt on. I'd never seen that before in Tennessee. So I went up to him, and I said, wow, I've never seen a Jaguars fan in Tennessee. And you know what he said to me? He said, they don't have them in Jacksonville either. So, yeah, what a mess that franchise is. A few more notes. The Jets hired Aaron Glenn. We talked about him in yesterday's video. We knew he was getting a job. I thought the Saints would try to get him as well, but the Jets apparently made him a good offer. He played most of his career for the Jets. Jets seem to favor defensive coaches. So, and the Patriots hired Lions defensive line coach Terrell Williams to be their defensive coordinator. So the Lions now have lost Ben Johnson, their offensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, their defensive coordinator, and Terrell Williams, their defensive line coach already. So let's see if they lose any more assistants. Because sometimes those head coaches, when they go to different franchises, will bring some assistants with them. So the Lions have a lot of new coaches they're going to need. And the rumor in Dallas is Kellen Moore's the favorite. I don't think that would be a good move. I just don't think Kellen Moore's ever made an offense so much better because of him. Yeah, he's been offensive coordinator for many teams in the league. He was a backup quarterback for the Cowboys. He's supposedly very close with Dak Prescott. So there's a relationship there. But I just don't think Kellen Moore, with the Chargers and the Cowboys and the Eagles now, where he's the offensive coordinator. I don't think those offenses succeeded because of Kellen Moore. I don't think he brought anything special to the table. But I could be wrong. He could end up being a good head coach. Like I said, head coaching, a lot of it's about leadership and respect. And one more thing about Dallas. They are interviewing Brian Schottenheimer a second time. He is their current offensive coordinator. This could make some sense. He's been around a while, been a good offensive coach. His dad was Marty Schottenheimer, a longtime head coach. But if you hire Brian Schottenheimer, you don't have to change the offense. It is beneficial to not have to change the whole scheme, whole new playbook, whole new terminology. It's very beneficial to keep the same offense or same defense in place because you have to make a lot of changes. So I think that could be a good fit. We'll see where Dallas goes. I prefer Deion Sanders just because it'll be fun if they hire Deion, but right now looking unlikely. Alrighty. So make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. Like this video. Share this with any Jaguar fans you know or any NFL fans you know because you probably don't know any Jaguar fans. I know I don't. And later this week, we're going to do the AFC and the NFC Championship preview videos. We're going to have to do separate ones because there's a lot to talk about. And enjoy the rest of your day.